following podcast may contain some adult language. You've been warned.
Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all nerds! International. With the hyphen.
Welcome to Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. This is a show dedicated to the Genesys role-playing system from Fantasy Flight Games, a show in which we, your hosts, discuss all things Genesys from both the player's and a GM's perspective. I am Tony Fanning, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Chris Holmes. How you doing, homie?
I'm doing better now that we're doing part two, a second recording because I kind of fucked up.
Yeah, this is welcome to the talent show part 1, Redo.
Redux. Yeah, Redux. I don't know who made that comment on YouTube or somewhere about my heavy breathing, but I blame you, whoever that was. No, it's my fault. So anyways, yes, so I have the blue ball or the snowball microphone thing and didn't have everything connected up right. So anyway, so this is part 2. So the news is there's no news.
Oh, well, there was this awesome movie that came out this past weekend that both of us went and saw a couple times.
A couple times, yeah. I saw it twice. You saw it a couple times. Mm-hmm. It was pretty awesome. And
pretty
you know
good.
What? Pretty much I wanted to play Edge of the Empire after I got after the movie. Because
me too. Folks, if you haven't seen it, go out and see Solo. It's amazing.
And if you are wondering what this Star Wars Edge of the Empire game is all about, go watch the Solo movie, because that's pretty much it. To be totally honest with you.
It is.
Yeah, it pretty much is. Though I do want... So we don't have any news from FFG. However, I do want to pimp out the Genesys Talents Expanded document that a few posters over there on the FFG forums have put together, and they just created version 4.1, let it out last Friday, May 25th. It's being done by the Sapient, ESP77, Swordbreaker, and Richard Buxton. I see them post all the time over there. Great feedback, and this document is awesome. Pretty much compiles all of the talents from Genesys Core, Realms of Terrinoth, and any ones they feel are Genesys appropriate and tweaked from the Star Wars books. And we're talking over 300 talents. And then plus another 50 community-created ones, too. So it's a one-stop shop for Genesys talenty goodness for that. So great job over there, guys. Going to be definitely referencing that when I make my settings, most definitely. How about you, man?
Awesome.
You've had a chance to take a look at it?
Yeah, I did get a good look at it. And you know what? It's going to be great when I get back to Hellgate that I'm going to be able to just port over a bunch of talents. Because I was really going to rob from Star Wars. And they've already done it for me.
They've already robbed you for it. They've already robbed for you.
All right, so let's get into listener feedback. So we've been sitting on this one for a while, and I have to apologize. We didn't realize we were going to upset some of our listeners by just sitting on their emails until a show topic came up that pertained to some of their emails. So apologies out there, folks. We'll respond to them from here on out and let you know if we're going to hold on to it for a while. But this is from our buddy Ova. We only know him as Last Verse. Mm-hmm. And he sent us an email. It says, "Hi, I've been slowly building some rules for our little superhero game. It's not exactly a splat book or anything. And seeing as every person's power is unique and not a Marvel / DC clone where 90% of every character gets flying, super strength, etc., that means we have to make talents and skills for each character. I didn't see the skills, but he did send us a sample of some talents.
Talents, yeah.
And since this is our talent show, that's why we sat on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So he says a lot is based / stolen from Worm for our setting. I don't know what Worm is.
Yeah,
but,
me neither.
Chris and I both have looked over the document. First of all, I got to say, whatever works for your game, dude. I'm not a big Supers fan as far as role-playing games. I love comics. I love movies. But RPGs, none of them have ever given me that, oh, gosh, it's great Supers feel. Yeah. I've played the whole gamut from Marvel superheroes, Heroes Unlimited, Champions, Mutants, and Masterminds. None of them just, I mean, after a while, playing them, they're fun. GMing is horrible. I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a try with Savage Worlds. There's a Necessary Evil campaign setting, plot point campaign for it. I tried to run it. It lasted a few sessions, but now I haven't really gotten the hang of it either. And superheroes genre isn't necessarily my forte either, but I could completely appreciate what you're trying to do here last verse. So kudos on the creativity. A little bit of, like you asked for criticism and comments and such. One thing, when you're going through and listing out talents like this and you're sharing it with somebody else, make sure you format the talents kind of like they are in the book. And we're going to go into kind of what's involved in creating a talent entry. That way it's a consistent format. We can kind of understand and grasp kind of what we're getting there. But for the most part, we got what you were going for. On your Chaos Orb list of talents, when you go to when you're improving and stepping up some talents, the Genesys naming convention, they've used improved and supreme. So on your tier 2 and tier 3 talents there, I suggest naming them improved and supreme, putting those in front of the talents there to see kind of how they're increasing. Now your Wonderland talent, this is one I think where you have this character as an action uses a superpower and creates this mist that goes out in short range or it goes out to short range, and people there have to make daunting checks or become staggered. Now staggered's a pretty serious condition, meaning they can't act, and a daunting check for a tier 1 talent seems a bit overpowered. Now I know you had mentioned in your document there that it's you don't care about balance. Well, you could build this one up too. You could start with maybe having the people do an easy check or a average check, and then make an improved version and a supreme version, getting that up to your daunting there. But anyways, that's a pretty cool concept there. And I was wondering if Wonderland had to concentrate each round to keep it going, like our King Castor would go. That would kind of balance it out too. Not balance it out, but that would kind of give that player yet another choice to make, and could make it a little more fun. Now the Gallant talents, those are great. I like your thoughts there. I guess that was a pun. It could be a pun, because this is more of a sonic blast that you can kind of control the minds and actions of other characters and players in the game, or characters, NPCs, and it seems like potentially PCs as well. But that's a slippery slope. Myself, I would not want another player controlling my character in game, just because I'm there to play my character, not anybody else. Now, playing an NPC and controlling an NPC, me as a DM or even a GM, I have no problems with that. That could just be fun and hilarity ensuing from there. So yeah, beyond that, pretty awesome start you had here. Looks like you created a lot of time. It did a lot of effort on this. So great job, and hope our comments help. Look forward to hearing from you in the future too.
Yep. So thanks for your email, and thanks to those of you out there patiently waiting for us to get to yours.
Yeah, let's email them back.
All right. So shall we get into the Book of Genesis, Chris?
Let's get into the Book of Genesis. All right, everybody. Open up your good book of Genesis. I didn't do that on the first recording. That's right. Yes, if you guys don't realize, this is called The Talent Show, Part 1, Redo. So, anyways, okay, so talents. I'm on page 71 of the good book of Genesis, chapter 4, called Talents. We have, here, talents come in different tiers. You have tier 1 through tier 5. Range costing anywhere from 5 to 25 XP, going up 5 XP per tier. And you would use your starting XP or your earned XP to purchase those as you go along. And what we are going to get into now is what makes up a talent here. So when you're talking about a talent entry, you're going to have the name of the talent, obviously, the tier that the talent falls under, the activation, how you activate this talent, and Tony, how would we activate talents?
Well, there's a couple of ways to activate them. Some talents, once they're chosen, like Toughened. Toughened increases your wound threshold. Mm-hmm. Once you buy it, your character has it. It's passive. It's always there.
Yeah, it's always on.
Mm-hmm. Then there's others that require an activation. Now those activations are the same activations as we talked about in social combat and vehicle combat and hand-to-hand combat. You have your action, maneuver, and incidental. And some of the incidentals are described as out of turn. That means you can do, as most of the time with incidentals, you can do them when it's not your turn. Just the only incidental you can normally do when it's not your turn is talking.
Or you can do it on somebody else's turn, right, Tony?
Exactly.
While you're trying to talk? Sorry.
That too. Whose turn is it to talk? Is it your turn? Do I talk? Do you talk?
I don't know.
All right, yeah, so activations. And then next we have ranked. Yeah. So what does ranked mean?
Well, ranked means you can get, if a talent is ranked, you can buy it multiple times, and in the description, in the rules part of this talent, in that paragraph right below these headings, it'll tell you what ranked means. So, for instance, Toughened, it's a ranked talent, and when you buy it the first time, you can add 2 to your wound threshold. But then every time after that you buy it, you would add 2 more to your wound threshold. However, every time you buy a ranked talent, you have to buy it at a higher tier than the previous rank.
So if it's only available at tier 3 as its first rank, then you can only ever buy up to 3 ranks of it. But if it's available as but if it's available as a tier 1, then you can have up to 5 ranks in it.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then under each talent, there's a rules section, a paragraph that goes into like a description. For instance, we can go to Clever Retort. It's a short one. Page 73. It's ranked 1, or it's a tier 1. Active. You activate this as an incidental out of turn. It's not ranked, but once per encounter, your character may use this talent to add automatic threat to another character's social skill check. And what they also have is the last sentence in these. It'll tell you what settings they are appropriate for. So obviously, Clever Retort is appropriate for all settings, any setting.
However, some may only pertain to certain types of machinery or only things that are accessed in your setting. So right below that, we have defensive sysops. It involves computers, so it's only available where there would be computers, not in a fantasy setting, not in a Wild West setting, so on and so forth. I can't say Wild West without saying it twice.
At least you're not singing it. The Wild West,
no.
Though, so. I will. I have no qualms with doing that. Well, since we're talking about these different talents, is there a favorite one for this rank one, that tier 1 you have, man?
Well, I think before we get on to favorites, we have in our show notes to talk about something else, dude.
Really? Oh,
how to build that talent pyramid.
Yeah, building it. I should look at the show notes while we talk, shouldn't I?
It's all good. We've done this once already.
Yeah, yes, we have, and haven't really done much better, have we? So
it's all good.
So on page 257, in the back of the book, and on the FFG's website, there is the talent pyramid. And
it's part of your character sheet, the third
page.
Page.
Makes it 2 pages for you, which Tony will grumble about. So the way this talent pyramid, you would add your talents from the top left and go bottom right with them, basically. So on this far left is your tier 1 talents, and at the very bottom it gives you the cost as well, 5 XP. And then before you pick that tier 2 talent, your first tier 2 talent, you have to have a second tier 1 talent. So whatever tier you're buying, after you buy it, you have to have more of the previous tier. So if you want to buy that tier 5 talent called dedication to increase your intelligence or brawn, you're going to need 5 first level. What am I talking about? Levels. That's right. I am DM, aren't I? Tier 1. You 5 tier 1s, 4 tier 2s,
4 tier 2s,
3 tier 3s, 2 tier 4s, and 1 tier 5.
Yep. And yeah, so for every character, you'll want to print one of these, or you can just jot your talents down. Just make sure you always make sure you have the right number of talents. Mm-hmm. Okay, so talent entries. Tier 1, you're going to make me pick a favorite.
Well, I know there are many that are cool.
Yeah, I love the social ones. So there's a good one here that is just handy. This is handy for everyone, though. Knack for it. As I've said before, knack for it. Tier 1, its activation is passive. It's ranked, so you can take it multiple times. When you purchase this talent for your character, select 1 skill. Your character removes 2 setback dice from any checks they make using the skill. Each additional time you purchase this talent for your character, select 2 additional skills. Your character removes 2 setback dice from checks. So you buy this twice and you have your bread and butter 3 skills that you go to all the time, especially if you're a social character, because you get setback dice all the time in social combat. From your opponent's motivations to things you said 2 seconds ago, you're going to have setback dice.
Yeah. Yep.
It only, however, the last sentence here in the description, you cannot select combat or magic skills when choosing skills for this talent. Still, you have a plethora of other skills that you can choose. All your knowledges. I don't know, perception, stealth, skullduggery, athletics, and like I said, all the social skills. So it applies to everything. I love it. It's a great talent.
Right. Yes, it
Almost
is.
all my characters will have it. How about you, Chris?
Myself, I don't know what I picked our first go round, but
Hamstring shot.
Hamstring shot was the one that I picked. However, the one that you had mentioned for like a pickpocket or if you're playing like in like a street urchin or something, the last one, unremarkable. Pretty awesome. It's tier 1, passive activation, so it's always on. It's not ranked, but other characters add a failure to any checks made to find or identify your character in a crowd. It's appropriate in all settings, but what that means is before they even roll the dice, they've failed. Well, you kind of already do, but before they even roll the dice, they have to roll at least 2 successes to succeed. Because if they roll the 1 success and that's all they get, and blank on everything else on the difficulty die, it doesn't matter. They still have one failure. So that's kind of cool. And that kind of sets a precedent as well. And that's kind of a theme that I have with the talents that I like, is the precedent that it kind of sets. And yeah, this is on checks to identify your character in a crowd. You can make this really about anything else. So this puts a precedent here that it's a tier 1 talent. You can give somebody a failure on whatever check it might be, and flavor it however you like.
So if you're writing a talent for a superhero setting for a character who has kind of a blur power, hey, you give someone a automatic failure on combat checks, ranged combat checks to hit you. Yes,
absolutely. Did you hear that one last verse? So,
all right,
cool.
So moving on to tier 2, tier 2, that is.
Tier 2, huh?
Yeah, tier true.
True.
How about you, buddy? You go first this time. What do you have for a favorite?
Well, you're liking the I won't step on your social combat ones, but I must say that I like Lucky Strike. Okay?
Yeah.
Now I don't smoke. Now I know Lucky Strikes are a pack of cigarettes. Kind of cigarettes. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about the cigarettes. We're talking about this tier 2 talent on page 76. It's active. It's an incidental to activate it. Not ranked, but when you purchase a talent, you select a characteristic. Say, I don't know, agility. After your character makes a successful combat check, you can spend a story point to use this talent to add damage equal to that characteristic's ranks. Sorry, your character's ranks in that characteristic. So if you have a agility of 4, you can spend a story point, add 4 damage to one hit of the combat check. And it's appropriate for all settings, it says. Now, one thing, the reason why I picked this one as well, is this is one of those talents where in order to activate it, you have to spend a story point. Which means what, Tony?
Sorry. You're putting me on the spot.
I am. Okay, well, what I was meaning was, if you use a story point improve your combat check, you can't use it to spend on this talent.
Mm-hmm.
So it is... I don't know. I mean, I guess... I mean, you can only spend a story point, once per round or once per action or something like that? Is that what it is?
Once per roll.
Once per roll. Now, this isn't... Yeah, so this is,
You're still adjudicating the damage from the roll.
Yes, yeah. So you have to choose whether you want to improve your hit or your attack, or whether you're successful with your combat check, or whether you want to use its talent. So again, creates another choice for the character to play, or the player to make, and it's just awesome stuff.
Give us options or give us death.
Yeah,
all right.
What are you thinking, man? I know you're probably thinking of 2 of them.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2 of them, but I like one more than the other, and there's a reason why. Yes, I could go with inspiring rhetoric, but no, scathing tirade, and this is why.
It's the yo mama jokes. Right?
Yep, pretty much. This is Chris Tucker in any movie he's ever been in. Okay. Samuel L. Jackson.
That's right, mother bleep. You don't have to bleep that out, do we?
Samuel L. Jackson in The Hitman's Bodyguard. There you go.
There you go.
All right. So, scathing tirade. It's tier 2. Its activation is active, and it requires an action. It's ranked? No, it's not ranked. Your character may use this talent to make an average coercion check. That's 2 purple dice. Mm-hmm. For each success the check generates, one enemy within short range suffers 1 strain. For each advantage, one enemy affected by scathing tirade suffers 1 additional strain. So for every success, you affect 1 enemy. For every advantage, you give them multiple strain.
So now, hang on a second. So reading this again, do they have to already be affected by scathing tirade before you do it again, or can you add the extra strain with the advantage all in this one check?
It's all in the one check. So when you roll it, okay. So for each success generated, 1 enemy within short range suffers 1 strain.
Yep.
So let's say I had 3 successes. That's 3 enemies suffer 1 strain.
Right.
Okay. for each advantage, one enemy affected by scathing tirade suffers one additional strain. Right. So I can do it this way. If I have 3 advantage, I could have each of them take 2. Or if I have 3 advantage, I could have one of them take 4. And that's cool. 1 that he normally would take and the 3 extra. Now, that doesn't soak. So on minions and on rivals, and when you target a minion group, you're targeting the group, not one guy, the whole group with your scathing tirade. Mm-hmm. Their wounds are strain. So you can knock these people out. This is social characters' backbone. You need this talent if you're playing a social character. Why? Mm-hmm. Because you have something to do in combat, and you could do it every round.
That's right. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will hurt me if I'm a minion or a rival. Apparently, with this. Yeah, so that's cool. That is very cool. All right, man. What do we have for a tier 3 talent?
Tier 3.
That we like here.
Oh, I like Field Commander. I love. I can't help it. I'm a social skill guy. Field Commander. Same thing. It's a tier 3 active, and it takes an action. It's not ranked. Your character may use this talent to make an average leadership check. If successful, a number of allies equal to your presence may immediately suffer 1 strain. To perform 1 maneuver out of turn. Yes. So, have your leader go first, and everybody gets to draw their weapons. Yes. Have your leader go first, and everyone gets to aim before they even do anything. Awesome. Love it.
It is. That is a very good one.
Yep, and it says, if there are any questions as to which allies take maneuvers first, your character is the final arbiter. You go, then you go, then you go. You're a leader. Lead.
Yes, absolutely. I will second that motion.
All right, what's yours, buddy?
Well, I'm liking rapid archery because as a maneuver, you can activate this talent. And if you're armed with a bow, you could suffer 2 strain to use the talent. But during your next range combat check, your character makes during this turn, now make sure it's during this turn, the bow gains the linked quality with a value equal to your ranks in the ranged skill. So say you've got that 4 agility, and you have 3 ranks in archery. Or 3 ranks in range, sorry. You might call it archery in your setting. It's okay. But the linked quality allows you to spend 2 advantage to basically do damage again. So however much
the same
amount, whatever it is, however many successes you get. Regular longbow does 8 damage base. If you do 2 successes and 4 advantage, right? You can hit them 3 times for 10 points of damage each. In that case, you can activate. You can activate this up to the linked quality, whatever that value is. That's the number of times you can activate it. So
it hits multiple targets.
Yeah. You don't have to choose one target.
That's awesome.
It's awesome stuff. It really is.
Yeah, I'm picturing a ninja throwing a bunch of shuriken all at once. All right, sorry.
That's cool. Now, this does say armed with a bow, but I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to create a talent for something along those lines.
It says, or similar weapon at GM's discretion. If you have 400 shuriken, I'd allow it.
Absolutely, because what? It's cool.
Yeah, and this is the yes and system.
Yes,
yes, you can do it. Maybe we'll make it a little difficult.
Exactly.
All right. Tier 4. So Tier 4 and Tier 5, this is where we get into those talents that kind of break the rules.
Yep.
Now, my favorite Tier 4 talent is there's 2.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with a social one just to stick to my theme for today.
Cool.
Can't we talk about this? The very first tier 4 talent. Mm-hmm. Your character can use this talent to make an opposed charm or deception versus discipline targeting a single non-nemesis adversary within medium range. If the check succeeds, the target cannot attack your character. Not at all. Or perform hostile actions against your character. That includes ordering minions to attack you. All right, sorry.
That's awesome.
Until the end of their next turn. You may spend 2 advantage to increase the length of the effect by 1 additional turn, and you may spend a triumph to extend the benefits to all of their identified allies within short range.
Wow, dude. Yeah, that breaks rules.
This is your social character standing in a hail of bullets, not getting shot at, yelling at your enemy the whole time.
Yeah, pretty much. Doing strain on them, scathingly tirading them. Yeah, that's cool.
So your character the effect ends immediately if your character or a known ally attacks the target. In addition, your GM may rule that some targets are immune to this ability. An automated sentry turret, for example, would be immune because it doesn't care what you're talking about. So, this is a good one. Yeah,
it is. Yes, all right. Yes, it is. And I believe the one that I picked before was Deadeye, another rules-breaking talent, which is on page 79, right underneath the one Tony just said, can't we talk about this? And when I'm a Deadeye, no, we can't talk about this, because I'm shooting you with my Deadeye talent. It's Tier 4, active incidental. After your character inflicts a critical injury with a ranged weapon, and rolls the result, your character may suffer 2 strain to use the talent. Then you may select any critical injury of the same severity to apply to the target instead. What does that mean, everybody? That means that if you do what crit are we talking here? We could do a critical, if you roll, say, a 91. You can actually make that a 121 and knock them senseless, and they're staggered until their critical injury is healed.
Wow.
Yeah. So that guy's not going to be able to take actions until the critical injury is healed.
So this is Deadpool not being able to do anything until he gets that arrow out of his head.
Yes, exactly. Spoiler alert! No.
If you haven't seen the first Deadpool, come on.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And then you just look at these and you can just pick, whatever ones they are. There's if you only roll a 41, if you go wah wah wah, you can make it an 86. Compromise: increase the difficulty of all skill checks by 1 until the critical injury is healed. That's increasing the difficulty. That's adding another purple. That's adding another die to your pool. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So, and then we get into Tier 5. And what are the best talents in Tier 5? All of them.
Yeah. I mean, really. Yeah. I mean, dedication is going to be the one you might pick first, only because it's the only way to increase your characteristics outside of what do you call it? Cybernetics or something.
Cybernetics if you have a cybernetic system. Yeah. I would say if you're playing a caster, though, Master is one you may want to look at. When you purchase this talent for your character, choose one skill. Once per round, your character may suffer 2 strain to use this talent to reduce the difficulty of the next check they make with that skill by 2 to a minimum of easy. Yeah.
So all of a sudden, that daunting fireball becomes it's average.
Yeah, it just cost you 4 strain instead of 2 to cast it.
That's right. That is correct.
Nice. All right, so that covers the talents in the core rule book, but we have another book of Genesis that has come out in the last months, and it has a bunch of good talents in it. Mm-hmm. So we did a little show a couple episodes ago where we had some friends on, and we did a review of Realms of Terrinoth, and we talked about a lot of our favorite talents. Mm-hmm. There's a couple more we can mention, but also I want to mention the table on page 85, 86, and 87. It's a big one. Mm-hmm. The table 2-4, Genesis talents for the rune-bound setting. People that are creating settings, here you go. Make a table, just like this one. Copy it, and ta-da, you've got your list of talents that are available to you. Just fill in which ones are available and where they're at. Right. And it's got it right here. Genesis Core Rulebook, page 72. Genesis Core Rulebook, page 79. And if it says it's in Realms of Terrinoth, well, you're looking at Realms of Terrinoth. Just go to the page before or the page after.
Exactly. And you can put in the page numbers for that too. And you could also reference the that Genesis Talents expanded document too. That's something that's something that I will definitely be doing when we talk about the Primeval Thule, or in our next section when we talk about our own settings. But I'll tell you, some of these talents, again, setting a precedent for things like, and I think I mentioned this in our Realms of Terrinoth show, is this tier 1 talent called Dark Insight is probably one of my favorite, only because it does set that precedent for so tier 1. It's incidental. It's an incidental action to activate it. It's not ranked. But when a spell adds a quality to your character's spell with the rating determined by your character's ranks in knowledge lore, so if you're doing that, if you're adding that blast quality, and you have 2 ranks in lore, you add 2 and make it a blast 2, you can swap out and use knowledge forbidden instead. So this sets a precedent to change out that knowledge skill with another knowledge skill type, to use ranks in that skill instead. If you don't want to be a book smart, sage that has a lot of lore, but a lot about a lot of forbidden knowledge, this is the talent you'll want to pick.
Right.
Or similar to it. Yeah.
And likewise, I think there's another one that does that also in this tier, besides the Shapeshifter, which is really kind of a weird one. Mm-hmm. But Templar over on page 87.
That's cool. Yep.
It's tier 1. Its activation is passive, and it's ranked. It's not ranked. Sorry. Divine is now a career skill for your character. They can only cast 1 spell using this skill per encounter. So this is where because I noticed, like in Realms of Terrinoth and also in the core book, they don't talk about really paladins. There's a knight, but there's nothing really like that holy warrior. Well, here you go. This is your holy warrior, and this is how they do it. And there's an improved version later on, but this allows you to think about, okay, I've played that D-Shift-7D game for years, and in that class, in there, they had that class. One of my friends loved this class. It was called the Hexblade. Well, here you go. You create a talent. Call it Hexblade. Call it Curse Blade. Whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. But you give the character the use of the Arcane skill, and they can cast curses. Only curses with it.
Or once per encounter. 1 curse per encounter.
Once per encounter.
Yeah, I mean, however you want to limit it. And this Templar talent kind of gives you a feel for what that is. Now, the tier 2 talent, the next tier 2 talent that's similar to this is a Bard, which it gives you knowledge, lore, and verse are now career skills for your character. So it would seem, if you're limiting the number of times you're going to have them cast a spell in an encounter, it's a tier 1, but tier 2 looks like you're Bard. You could cast as many verses as you want, and it's only a tier 2. Granted, it costs you 20 experience points because you have to buy 2 tier 1 talents, and then for 10 or 5 each, and then 10 for the tier 2 talent, but you're a Bard. You could sing. Give minor competency bonuses to your buddies. And
Also,
have 50 character sheets.
There you go. And also, in Tier 2, same thing. We have runic lore. It's also the same thing. It's just another style of magic.
Yep.
So these are, again, talents that set precedents. And then the other set of talents that in Tier 2 in here that set precedents that Chris and I both love. Mm-hmm. These Chill of Nordros and the Flames of Kelos.
For example, yeah. Those opposing. Well, I think of in that Shift D7D, opposing schools, for casters. That's what this feels like here to me. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it does. And I'll just look at the Chill of Nordros one. Yep. When casting an attack spell, your character may add the ice effect without increasing the difficulty. Your character can never add the fire effect.
Yeah, that's pretty. And the first line they have italicized, which is like a prerequisite, like a requirement. Mm-hmm. Like your character cannot take this talent if they have taken the Flames of Kelios talent. So those you have to. So again, you got to read all the words in some of these talents. It'll really make sense if you read all of the words too. Because it could be at the end of your next turn, your character's next turn, or the enemy's next turn. Those subtle little words changes the whole feel of these talents too. So,
yep,
that's pretty.
This sweet. Does.
Yeah, so those are cool.
These made me think of an idea that I had for a future setting. My son, big fan of the Avatar cartoon.
I do.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. I just purchased it on Vudu a couple weeks ago when it was on sale, and we were rewatching it, and I just got the thought that, okay, you could totally just with talents create airbending, earthbending, fire bending, and water bending just with talents alone.
By just doing this, exactly.
Yeah. So I may decide in the future, unless someone beats me to it because they heard me about it. They heard me talk about it, and they have more time on their hands than I do. I'm thinking about creating a one shot or a setting of Avatar. So
sweet, dude.
All right, and then the last Tier 2 talent we want to bring up again because it is so important to spellcasters in any system, and you should use it in any system. That is Signature Spell. The One-Eyed Pearson monster said it's his favorite in the whole book. When we had him on the show, it is really good. And that talent is a passive talent that is not ranked. When your character gains this talent, decide on a signature spell for them, consisting of a particular magic action and a specific set of one or more effects. When your character casts their signature spell consisting of the exact combination of effects that was previously chosen, reduce the difficulty by 1 on the check.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome!
And what's awesome is that there's an improved version.
yeah, and it gets even better.
Yes, it
All right,
does.
so in Tier 3...
what do you like?
What I want to talk about, is one that they ported over from Star Wars. It's because it's ranked and it's powerful. It starts at Tier 3, so you can only ever get 3 ranks of it. But it's on page 90. Bodyguard. Once per round, it's active with a maneuver. Once per round, your character may suffer a number of strain no greater than their ranks in Bodyguard to use this talent. Choose one ally engaged with your character. Until the end of your character's next turn, upgrade the difficulty of all combat checks targeting that ally a number of times equal to the strain suffered. So if you were to buy this talent twice, you increase the difficulty twice.
For only 2 strain.
You upgrade, not increase. Upgrade.
Yeah.
For only 2 strain.
Oh. You make those 2 purples 2 reds automatically by spending 2 strain. It's awesome.
Hello, Dwarven Defender, standing between the sorcerer and everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or, hey, think about this, man. if you have a couple of if you have a couple of your frontline fighters that have this, doing it for each other.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean,
it's a maneuver.
Yeah, it's good. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So hello, Phalanx. Here we go.
That's what I was thinking of. The Phalanx fighting. Yeah, that's exactly right. And then maybe if they both have it and they're next to each other, maybe there's another version of this. Is there an improved bodyguard? I don't think so. Or maybe you create Phalanx fighting.
Yeah, you could.
Which is good.
Maybe that's a tier 5 talent.
Yeah. The one that I liked, and this is another one of those that sets a precedent and gives us...
They do a lot of that in this book.
They do. So yeah, everybody read these, because even if you're not running a fantasy setting, there are some things here which actually this talent I could probably suggest to my GM, Mr. Jamie, with the one-eyed Pearson monster, whether I can pick this up at some point. Though we're probably all going to die Thursday night, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so it's called Potent Concoctions, Tier 3. It's passive. It's always on. It's same page as Bodyguard, page 90. When your character makes an alchemy check that generates a triumph, roll an additional proficiency die, your yellow die, and add its results to the pool. In addition to spending the triumph normally. What did I say? That triumph does not get spent on rolling this die. You just roll another die, and then you get to say, "Oh, here's what my triumph does." Well, what if you roll another triumph? Awesome things will happen. However,
only you would do that, Chris. Just saying.
Yeah, true. Well, where there's good, there's bad, because the opposite can happen, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. When your character makes an alchemy check that generates a despair, roll an additional challenge die, the red die, and add its results to the pool, in addition to spending the despair normally. Each of these effects can only occur once per check, so... Good thing, you can't string them along.
Yeah, it's not never-ending dice.
But I'm thinking of this, okay, so this is on alchemy checks. But in this Deadlands, if anybody's familiar with Deadlands, it's a weird West setting where you have this ghost rock, which, boom, because of ghost rock, you could do magic in the Wild West now, yay! Well, I have this mad scientist that created a sniper rifle. Well, I can pick up something like this where... potent ghost rock or deadly ghost rock, and I can shoot, and I'm, if I generate a triumph, yay! But if I generate a despair, yay!
Yay for the GM.
Yay for the GM. And this ghost rock is a material that's very volatile. I believe my character's kind of going a bit insane, too. So if you have something like that in your setting, think of this. Yeah, this is for alchemy, but no, think beyond that. It could be used for something else.
This is true.
So,
all right.
There's that.
And then we get into tier 4 and 5, and again, we're back to there isn't a bad talent among them.
Nope. Not so much.
Tier 4, you have that signature spell improved that you talked about earlier.
Which you have to have.
There's also a talent here. I want to mention here a talent that is pretty cool thematically if you're playing that assassin/rogue.
Okay.
Venom-soaked blade.
Ooh.
Tier 4 talent. Activation is passive. It's not ranked. When making a melee light combat check using a poisoned weapon, your character treats it as if it possesses Burn 2 item quality.
So what does that do? I don't get to soak that, do I?
Burn 2 means that they're going to take 2 points of burn damage. Or take the weapon. I think it's the burn rating.
Burn rating in damage at the beginning of their turn, I do believe.
Of the following turn, or it's base weapon damage for a number of turns equal to the burn rating. Sorry, I should have looked that one up before I picked it, but
that's okay. No, I have it right here. One target hit continues to suffer the weapon's base damage. Weapon's base damage. Each round for a number of rounds equal to the weapon's burn rating. What?
So for 2 additional rounds, they suffer the weapon's base damage.
And you
in addition to you poking them more.
apply damage at the start of their turn.
Uh-huh.
What the heck?
Yeah,
I don't think they'll be able to roll around on the ground to make this go away. That's kind of with the poison.
This is poison. They have to suck it out of the wound. Oh wait, that's a wives' tale. I don't think they can get rid of it.
I don't think they can either.
They'd have to take a potion.
Yeah. So it isn't 2 damage. It's for 2 rounds.
Yes, 2 rounds.
And they are,
pretty nasty.
It looks like they can soak the damage.
Yes, they do soak.
But still, they're still taking damage.
Yeah. So if your base weapon damage is above their soak, you're getting free damage for 2 extra rounds for 2 advantage.
And that's base weapon damage.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So here's another. Go ahead.
No, and it's any melee light weapon. So in D Shift 7D, a lot of times you could only poison daggers and little weapons. No. This you can do any one-handed weapon. An axe.
Yep. Your long sword.
Long sword. A shield.
A shield with poison spikes on it. Yeah. Yes. There you go. That'll do it. And so there's another talent here, Tier 4, that I want to mention. Again, setting a precedent for other things. It's called back-to-back. Tier 4, its activation is passive, always on. It's not ranked. But when you're engaged with one or more allies, your character and allies that are engaged add 2 or add 1 boost die to their combat checks. If one or more allies engaged with your character also have back-to-back, the effects are cumulative to a maximum of 2 boost dice. Now,
awesome.
Yeah, it is. And again, that if anybody's played Pathfinder or maybe Savage Worlds might have some teamwork talents, but this is a teamwork talent. I mean, you both pick it, and you set up your what do you call it? I don't know, your strategy, kind of going forward, the way you kind of work together. And I think in the Realms of Terrinoth review show, we talked about the long and the short of it with Yuri and
Erica,
yeah, doing their stuff. So pretty cool.
Right. Yep. And so in Tier 5, I honestly the one to talk, they're all good, but the one to talk about is Zealous Fire, because it's it's the second one you want to reach for as a caster. Each time it's passive, not ranked. Each time your game master spends a story point, your character heals 2 strain. Oh, yeah. Spellcaster. Make your GM think twice about spending his story points.
Yep. Because that spellcaster is getting back to strain. And what is 2 strain? What is 2 strain used for, everybody? Casting a spell. That's right. So yeah, whenever your GM
wants to spend a story point to upgrade your difficulty, well, guess what? I get to cast a spell for free this round.
So was that the Lucky Charms guy?
I don't know.
Love your accent,
That's just
man.
Tony being a freaking weirdo. Okay,
That's awesome. All right, well, yeah. So those are kind of our favorite talents out of these 2 books. So yeah, if you guys have your favorite ones, email us. Let us know what they are. And then our next episode, we're actually going to be talking about creating our own. And going through that, we're gonna have Stefan back on, because he's doing a lot of that in his Shintar setting and such. So he'll be helping us out with that, walking through that. So, dude, you ready to set the tone here?
Sure thing.
All right, let's do it.
So, setting the tone. This is where Chris and I talk about today's show topic, but we put it in the terms of in the framework of our settings that we are creating. Now, I was originally doing Hellgate Genesis. However, I had to table that because what we didn't announce is that Chris and I are running a little co-GM'd event at a con in Ohio this year.
Richfield, Ohio.
called Con on the Cob in November.
We're not co-GMing. You're GMing it. I'm DMing it. Sorry.
All right, fine. But we decided we wanted to do a cool little mashup. But that required that one of us write a setting document. And since Tony hasn't really done one, I decided to volunteer myself for this.
Yay!
So it's set in Middle Earth, and I'm using the stuff from Cubicle 7, the One Ring, and the Middle Earth Adventures Guide for 5th edition. Using those a lot, quite liberally, and we're doing it as a mashup because it's a con, and you gotta add some humor, and you can't just do Lord of the Rings and have Lord of the Rings humor. You gotta have something else. So, Lord of the Rings plus the Evil Dead.
Yeah, for our primitive screwheads out there. Calling it Fellowship of the Dead, everybody.
That's right. So, yeah, we're looking forward to running that, and I'm currently writing the document. And so one of the things I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a chart, just like I talked about on page 85 there, a chart that pretty much uses almost all of the core and almost all of the Terrinoth talents. However, Middle-earth, being that magic is a little less common than in Terrinoth, the magic ones will be taken out. So I'm going to be using the vast majority of those, though. Signature spell probably won't be a thing, but bodyguard, hell yeah. So,
Yippers.
How about you, Chris?
So for me, in Primeval Thule, after getting the Realms of Terrinoth book, and then after seeing this Genesys expanded talent list, I looked at my document and said, I think I'm going to rip out what I've got. I'm going to go through these talents and make a chart like we have here in the Realms of Terrinoth book, and just list out the ones that I like that are Primeval Thule-ish. That'll give me the flavor that I want. Most definitely going to do that dark. What was that? Dark insight, and might even change my knowledge skills from. I might have had occult. I might even just change it to forbidden instead, and kind of just line it up with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Keep that. Keep it as house ruled as little as possible. Using just their examples.
But still want to capture that theme of it too. And then I don't think I'll do the specific. I won't be doing the specifics like Flame of Kelios or that the Chill of Nordros. Chill of Nordros, but I might have a couple of opposing talents that are like that because I just like that flavor, and I think that would bring out some primevalness from people. We're thinking.
Alrighty.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Cool. So that's how we ended up setting the tone.
Cool. All right, man. All right, so we ready for our favorite part of the show now?
Yes, I am. How about you?
Oh yeah. All right.
All right. Welcome to Advantageous Threats, our favorite show segment and yours. Yes. So today, I've got a challenging one for you. My character,
no pun intended,
right? Nope, not at all. Earl the Grayscale. And this is a character that I'm actually playing in a Savage Worlds version of Shinetar. He is a Dragordian Adept. He is basically a 7-foot-tall lizard man psionicist, but he is elderly.
So like the Yoda.
Yeah. Yep. He's even got pointy ears. No, he doesn't have any ears. But anyhow, I've been playing this guy for a while, and we're pretty well up there in the XP. So if we were to convert them, they would definitely be around 300-400 earned XP characters.
Nice.
Yeah, we're like at 90 XP, I think, in Savage Worlds, which is like 18 advancements, so it's quite a bit.
That's like legendary almost. That's cool.
Yeah. Almost. Excuse me. But anyhow, in the spirit of having Stefan on next week, I thought I would throw this one out there. Cool. So Earl has in Savage Worlds, he has an edge called Order of the Azure Citadel. So I had an idea of how it would work, and I'm hoping Stefan will agree with me if we do convert. So this talent allows Earl to spend a story point to use his psionics, which is will-based, which he has 5 ranks and has a willpower of 4, in place of any other skill check once per encounter. So in this adventure that we're on, we currently got tossed into the future where there's these huge airships, and we're on board one of these airships, and I envision Earl wanting to leap from one airship to another. And so I kind of come up with this little encounter here. So Earl wants to spend a story point to use his psionics for a coordination check, to leap from from the deck of his moving airship to the deck of another enemy airship that is flying by at a high speed. Nice. So, given the speed and the distance jumped, we're going to set the difficulty automatically at formidable, 5 purple dice.
Right.
Now, I mentioned Earl also already has his psionics of 5 ranks and a willpower of 4. So he's going to have a total of 5 dice, 4 of which are going to automatically be upgraded to proficiency dice. Cool. So right now we're sitting at 5 purple difficulty. However, I know Stefan, and he's not going to let me do this for free. And he wants a chance for, and honestly, I would not have a problem with an automatic upgrade just because of the difficulty of this task.
Right. I mean, yeah, it is super difficult, which you said at formidable, but not only is it super difficult, it's uber deadly too. So that's one of the things that I go off of when I decide to do automatic upgrades for things. So this would have at least 1 red automatically, maybe 2, but now for this we'll just do 1.
And another set of reasonings behind this difficulty also would be, okay, I'm using psionics, which is a magic skill, for a regular task. Therefore, normally you would increase the difficulty by 1, but we were already at max difficulty of 5. So upgrading one of those dice is an easy way to mimic that. All right, okay. So
we can do that. So were you thinking then 2 red to start with?
Well, no, just 1 right now.
1? Okay.
Yep. Now, I had to spend a story point to activate this power, so I am not spending a story point.
Right.
But I would argue to my GM that I would get a chance to probably line up my shot. I am,
which is yourself, and you know what?
Shooting myself essentially. So,
I would say taking a little extra time to kind of put your finger up and hey, yeah, that's kind of the way the wind's blowing, and line it up. I'd give you a boost die for that, most definitely.
Okay. Now, what would you do for circumstantial dice?
Circumstantial dice. I would definitely upgrade it. I'm going to use the story point.
Okay.
And upgrade it once because of the sheer deadliness of it.
Sure.
So it'll be 2 red at least. And I'm gonna add 2 setback dice because of the wind. The crosswind could potentially screw with you. You know what I mean?
Sounds good. So grand total, my pool, 4 yellow, 1 green, and 1 blue on the positive side. Okay. On the negative side, 2 red, 3 purple, 2 black.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
All right, here we go. All right. We have triumph and despair.
Yeah!
All right, first of all.
Do you succeed,
First of all, the wind, not a factor. Those came up blank.
Okay. Sounds good.
One of my difficulty dice, blank. Grand total successes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting the one from the triumph. And grand total failures, 1 from the despair.
So you
that is
definitely
it.
succeed.
So I had 4 successes net.
Cool.
Now, advantage, I have 1, 2, just 2 advantage, but I generated 1, 2, 3, 4 threat.
So you have 2 threats.
So I have net 2 threat, a despair, and a triumph. So 4 successes, 2 threat, a despair, and a triumph. This is what Advantageous Threats is all about, folks.
Yes, it is. You did not roll this last night when we tried to record. This is going to be interesting. Okay, so first off, you successfully make this jump. And with 4 successes, I would actually allow you to land wherever you want on that ship, to be honest.
Okay, so 4 successes.
You did it really well.
I was trying to land on their the deck that they have their helmsman on.
Okay.
Because I want to steer the ship back towards mine if I can. So
there you go. Cool.
So that's where I would land. Now,
Okay.
for my triumph,
Yeah.
I want to land directly behind the helmsman at engaged range.
Cool. All right. That's
Okay.
perfect. I'll allow that. That's for your triumph.
Yeah, now for the bad stuff.
Yeah, okay. So the bad stuff is going to be this. The 2 threat will be you clipping your forehead on the way across. And
On some rope or something?
On some rope or something. Maybe, I don't know, you're saying these are airships?
Yes.
You know what?
We still have rigging.
No, you kind of I'm going to say that when you land, you kind of twist your ankle a little bit. So you're going to take some strain for that. However, you didn't quite see this person when you saw him in mid-jump. You landed behind the helmsman, but who comes out from behind you is the captain of the ship, the nemesis of the ship. And he's right there with his bodyguards, ready to roll. And you need to roll initiative now. Right?
If you know Earl would be happy.
Yeah.
To have that happen.
So, but for the despair, because you made the check, we can't have you fall to your death. But if you failed the check and got a despair, Earl is going to be probably a splat on some rocks.
Nothing wrong with having. You could also. As a GM, honestly here, if you had said, yeah, you land, but you suffer a critical hit.
Yep, that too. I
that's a
totally
great way to spend a despair in a success situation where the character's doing something highly physical like that.
Yep.
You
something else
landed,
you can do.
but suffer a crit.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Or, the captain nemesis is there that you have to deal with.
Hey.
Because you're over there alone now with the crew of this ship.
Again,
you decided to jump across.
You have no idea how much Earl would love that. All right, so how about yours, buddy?
All right, so mine... Okay, so I have a mage named Semlo.
That's Holmes backwards.
I know it is. And everybody out there knows it is too now. Yeah, my mage named Semlo. And, this kind of goes along the lines of, in that shift, the D shift 7D, Melf's Acid Arrow, those kinds of names. Yeah, so Semlo's Deadly Dark Lightning, he's using the improved signature spell talent against the infamous ancient dragon named Stefano. Yes, ancient. He's infamous. Not famous. Okay. He's infamous.
And where do we have ancient dragons at?
We have ancient dragons on page 195 in Realms of Terrinoth.
Okay. Well, I better check one of those out. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, you do that. Okay, so basically what I need to build up here, which I would have already figured out, but I'm going to kind of walk it through people because we mentioned signature spell, improved signature spell, and this is kind of how it works. So Semlo has an intellect of 4. He has an arcane of 3 ranks in arcane. He has 3 ranks in knowledge. He's going to be using the attack spell, which uses his ranks in his intelligence for damage. So that starts at 4. He's going to make it deadly. So the difficulty starts at easy. Deadly makes it average. Lightning will make it hard. And long range will make it formidable.
Okay.
Formidable or daunting? Formidable.
Formidable.
Yep. And then if
No, sorry. Long range makes it makes it formidable.
5.
Yeah, 5 dice.
Yep, formidable. Now, if I wanted to do auto fire, because lightning has the auto fire quality, you would need to increase your difficulty by 1, which now I would have to spend a story point if I want to use auto fire. And it's 6 difficulty, which, okay. But I have improved signature spell. What does that do? When I'm using this combination here, long range, lightning, deadly, it reduces my difficulty by 2. So it's now only a hard check, and it'll be daunting if I want to make it auto fire. Okay? Now, if I use a staff reduces the distance, takes off a difficulty because of distance. So that would make it average and hard if I want to do auto fire, which I'm going to do. Now, using the staff also adds 4 damage. So, he's going to be casting Semlo's Dark Deadly Lightning. The improved signature spell will do 8 lightning damage for a crit 2, long range, vicious 3, with the stun 3 quality. And stun 3 means, I think it's 3 damage. Stun damage, which does not get soaked. So, my check is going to be his 4 in arcane or 4 intellect with 3 arcane, so it's going to be 3 proficiency dice and 1 ability die. It's going to be 3. It's going to be hard because I'm going to be using auto fire and the staff. However, the infamous ancient dragons are adversary 2, so those get upgraded. I would like to aim with my spell only once. I'm not going to aim it again because I'm going to take a couple strain to start counterspelling just in case Stefano moves within medium range of me.
Sounds good.
So that's what I've got so far.
Okay.
What do we need to do now?
Well, Stefano is doing flyby attacks. So you're hitting a moving target. So throw in a setback die.
1 setback die. Cool.
Yep.
I also want to spend one of these. I also want to spend one of these story points because my buddy, the Jaime One Eye, is on the ground kind of bleeding out.
Okay. All right. Well, your GM's also going to spend one because it's a dragon, dude.
Enough said. It's a dragon. A dragon should be hard. All right. So I'm left with 4 yellow, a blue, 3 red, and 1 black. All right, let's do this. Oh yeah. All right. Cancel. Okay. So, my blue die gave me... good thing I aimed because it gave me a couple of advantage, which canceled out the 2 threat that I rolled on 2 of my red dice. Another one of my red die came up blank. My black flying by doesn't matter. He's so big, doesn't matter whether he's moving or not.
Big easy target.
Big easy target. One of my proficiency dice came up blank. However, 2 of my proficiency dice came up with triumphs.
I'm not surprised by this at all, Chris.
You're not? What? Okay, so I have a net 2 successes, 2 triumphs. Well then, I'm definitely going to crit this guy. I want to critically hit him twice.
critting twice, or would you auto fire?
Actually, I'm going to crit once, and I'm going to auto fire. Yeah, I want to auto fire.
So your first hit.
So my first hit will do 10 damage.
10 damage, critting once with vicious 3.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a critical at plus 30%.
Yes. Absolutely. Yikes.
Okay. And then, while you're at it, hit for another 10 damage.
Yep.
Well, since the dragon has a soak of 8, you do 4 wounds to his 45 wounds.
Okay. Maybe I should have used a double triumph for something else, as in I teleport Jaime and I away. But, that's for another day.
Yeah. All right. So.
Wow. So lightning. Deadly, but not very.
Not against dragons.
Not against dragons, apparently. Woo.
All right.
Though,
so, yeah,
I must say, he is going to take 6 stun damage, though.
Yes.
Oh, no. I have to activate that, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Bummer. I didn't.
Yeah. You got a lot of things to activate there, buddy.
Yeah,
you didn't roll a lot of advantage, and you're wasting your triumphs on all kinds of stuff. So it's difficult.
It sure is. But that was a more fun result than last night.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Both of them
results.
Yeah.
Maybe we ought to roll them twice next time.
We might have to.
All right. Well, that's it for Advantageous Threats, folks. We're gonna go over to our next segment and head on out of here.
That's right. All right, everybody. We are, this is it. That was the end of our part 1 of the talent show for us. I'd like to give a shout out to Matt Stark and his blog called Thoughts of a Barbarian. Basically, he writes about anything gaming. His last barbaric thought was about how he likes and dislikes Genesis, and I thought it was very well written, very well done, and insightful. That was pretty cool, yeah. And he is you could find him at his blog at thoughtsofabarbarian.blogspot.com. He's got a Google Plus page. He's a Nerds International community member, and you can find him on Twitter at mstark78. Oh, and by the way, that ancient dragon Stefano, Mr. Stefan Dragonspawn, made him a kick-ass logo. So in that, what is it, King Conan? I got it right this time. The King Conan pose, contemplating.
Very nice.
Thinking.
Yes. Pretty cool looking.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
With the black cloak.
Yeah.
With the black feathery cloak.
Right.
Or furry cloak. Furry cloak. Yeah. Pretty awesome.
All right. So you can reach us in that same community over at Nerds International on G+. You can also get a hold of me at Finding the Narrative on Facebook, and I will forward that on to Chris. Usually like to screenshot the messages you send me over there and send them to him via text message.
Yep. You sent me one today.
Yep. And then you can email at us, as other people have in the past, findingthenarrativepodcast at gmail.com. And you can listen to us under Finding the Narrative Podcast on Podbean, iTunes, and the YouTubes.
Mm-hmm. Pretty confident the people who are listening will know where to find us.
Well,
because
maybe someone overhears someone listening it at their cubicle and wants to hear that part.
Exactly. Yep.
I don't know. All right.
Cool, man.
So
that's it.
All right. Well, this is Tony signing off and saying, keep rolling them bones.
And this is Chris saying, remember the rule of cool and just have fun, everybody. Good night.
Adios.
Finding a Narrative Podcast is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of Finding a Narrative Podcast. Copyright 2018, all rights reserved.